think we'll get started. Again, welcome everyone. My name is Mara Tippett. I'm the Associate Director at Raritan Headwaters. Before we get started, just some quick housekeeping. Please keep your mic muted during the presentation. We will have a discussion at the end of the presentation, but feel free to use the chat to post questions. Also, please note that this presentation is geared towards Highlands municipalities. So if you're joining us from a municipality outside of the Highlands region, you're welcome to stay on, but just to let you know that these maps do only work for and present and develop ERIs for Highlands towns. With that, we'll get started. Okay, next slide, please. So just a quick note about RHA. We're a nonprofit watershed conservation organization that's been working for over 60 years to protect clean water for the residents who live here, as well as those downstream and throughout the state who rely on the water that we protect. And through science and stewardship, including our stream monitoring and well testing programs, annual watershed-wide stream cleanup, education and advocacy, we protect the water in our rivers and our streams and in our homes. And you can learn more about the work that we do and explore the many resources we have available on our website at raritanheadwaters.org. Slide. Great, thank you. This Watershed Tools for Local Leaders webinar, like others in this series, is intended to support municipal officials and residents who are in a position to educate others and make decisions that impact residents in their towns. We hope that these webinars aid in the understanding of complicated science and regulations, and that we may act as a trusted resource and partner to successfully navigate and take action to support the health of our watershed and the people who live here. In these seminars, we share information on key science, planning and regulatory tools, and explore opportunities to partner on projects to identify, protect, and restore water resources. And you can view the archive of past presentations on our website, along with the recording of this session. Okay, next slide, please. We're very fortunate to have an opportunity to host the Highlands Water Protection and Planning Council, commonly known as the Highlands Council, this afternoon to demonstrate the interactive ERI tool. The Highlands Council serves as a crucial entity in New Jersey, overseeing the protection and sustainable development of the ecologically significant Highlands region. Operating under the guidance of the Highlands Water Protection and Planning Act, landmark legislation enacted to safeguard the ecologically and economically vital Highlands region in northern and central New Jersey, the Highlands Council works to protect critical water resources in the Highlands region, which spans over 860,000 acres in 7 counties. Through their land use planning, water resource protection efforts, and conservation initiatives, the Highlands Council strives to preserve the region's natural integrity while supporting the needs of the communities and industries that rely on its resources. I'd love to present to you, introduce you to our presenters today. We have Jocelyn Akker, who leads the GIS team at the Highlands Council. Prior to joining the Highlands Council staff, Jocelyn worked in environmental consulting, performing various duties, including report writing, GIS support, and field activities throughout New Jersey. Jocelyn holds a Master of Science in Geography from the University of Freiburg, Switzerland, and a certificate in GIS from Penn State. I'd also like to present James Humphries, Director of Planning and Science for the Highlands Council. James was a principal planner and led the development of the Highlands Open Space Partnership Funding Program and Highlands Development Credit Purchase Program. He's been practicing planning in New Jersey for more than 20 years and is a licensed professional planner and certified by the American Institute for Certified Planners. I'd also like to welcome Carol Ann Dickton, who's the Manager of Communications for the Highlands Water Protection and Planning Council. And in this role, she's responsible for providing communications support to the implementation of the Highlands Regional Master Plan. Carol has more than 20 years of experience conceptualizing, planning, and managing and executing communication programs and materials with particular expertise in writing, editing, and online communication. Thanks so much again to the council staff for joining us today and providing this opportunity for our municipal partners to learn about this excellent resource.
Next slide, please. Thank you. So thank you all for coming. As said, I'm James Humphries, and we're with the Highlands Council, and really excited to share this tool with you. We developed it over about 3 years, and we launched it last year around this time. We believe it can be a very, very useful tool, not only just for creating an ERI for a municipality, but also providing background from any planning documents, site plan reviews. There's so many uses. That's why we think it's important to share as much as possible. We've had a lot of positive feedback from the users that have been using it, and we've gotten some feedback also to make some changes, and we're trying to make a list of changes we'll try and incorporate into the future and add some enhancements. Just to go over the agenda, we'll do our welcomes and introductions, which we're doing right now. We'll do some background and overview of the ERI, and then we'll spend some time going through 3 different demos to show you how it can work in different use cases. And then we'll have time for a Q&A at the end. Next slide. So we just like to go through a poll just to see who's here today. So Carol, if you'd like to start the poll, and hopefully this will work for us.
Yeah, hopefully this will work. I am trying to launch a poll right now. If you don't see the poll, I'll read it. I'll just let people know. Please let us know which group best describes your affiliation. There's municipal official, environmental commission, green team, state government, consultant, GIS professional, county official, if you're in academia, nonprofit, member of the public. So feel free, if you can access the poll, if the poll is showing up, please, oh, it must be because it's populating.
Yeah.
If not, if you're not seeing it, by all means, throw something in the chat to let us know who you are. We just like to get a sense of who the audience is that we're working with right now. And I see we've got some municipal officials, a lot of people from environmental commissions. Oh, we got a green team member, yay. So that's pretty good. I think there's 11 people here and we've heard from 9 of you, and it looks like 10, almost everybody. Somebody's a slacker. Just kidding. And then there's another question that should be popping up. Rate your technical savvy. From the lowest of my teenager had to help me log on to the highest of I create mobile apps for fun. And it looks like we're pretty much in the middle there. So that's good to know too, that you guys have some understanding of technology. Obviously, this is an application, as James has said, we think it's pretty useful, but that's great. Thanks everybody for letting us know where you are. I think that's going to be very helpful. So I think now, next up, I think we're going to turn it over to Jocelyn to get us going. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I am going to be a disembodied voice today because my camera is not working, but I am Jocelyn Akker. I'm the GIS manager at the Highlands Council. And I'm sure most of you know what an ERI is, but I'm just going to go through it real fast just so that we all start on the same page. ERIs are valuable tools for municipalities and counties. Sometimes they're called natural resource inventories or NRIs, and they typically are a catalog of all environmental features, both the natural ones and the built ones, and they include historic, cultural, scenic, and infrastructure information, as well as containing descriptions, data, maps, pictures maybe, and these reports can be used for master planning, land use ordinance develop, project review, and more. So you might be saying, well, this is great. My town has one, but why do we want an interactive ERI? What does that give us? And the current model really is a static point in time assessment of resources that sits on a shelf. It's printed out for about 10 years, gathers dust before anyone even thinks about updating it, and they're costly, time consuming to develop. They become obsolete because we know things change a lot in 10 years. And from the interactive tool, we gain access to the currently published data to make them more, it makes the whole process more functional. All the data is in one place already. You don't have to hunt and peck through the realms of the internet, and it's all scalable. You can look at it on a parcel level. You can look at it on a town level. It doesn't matter. And so as James pointed out, we released this application about a year ago. And during the development process, we spoke with many stakeholders and beta testers in order to collect as much input and feedback as possible from people who would actually be using the application, just like all of you. So they were green team members, they were environmental commissioners, they were nonprofit folks. And we were fortunately able to incorporate many of these suggestions into the application. So we believe we've developed a very valuable and a robust tool. And since it was released a year ago, we've had time now to fix some of the bugs in there, add additional features that people have either pointed out to us or that we've noticed could be improved. And we do have plans to continue that improving and process into the future and to continue developing it into a even more robust and informative application. So just a quick overview of the application. Some of the features include multiple geographic levels, custom and predefined maps, meaning you can create your own map or you can use one of the ones that we have built into the application. You can export those maps and other reports. And it also functions as an interactive viewer. So you could use it as a meeting and use the map interactively to look at whatever feature you're looking at. And the big feature of the application, in my opinion, are the live data links. And so what is a live data link? Live data links means that the application links directly to the online source of all of these data layers. So every time the data owner, every time the data owner updates or republishes their data, it automatically gets pulled into the application. So for example, when DEP updates their C1 streams layer, the application goes and gets the newest version of the layer and puts it into here so that you can view that. So some of our data sources, of course, are the Highlands Council. It's other New Jersey state agencies like DEP, the Department of Transportation, the State Planning Commission Office, and also the federal government like the National Resource Council and FEMA, etc. And so I do have to say, though, that only the data that is produced by us, we have any influence on. Everything else is just a collection of data, bringing it all together into one place. So if you see something that might be missing or incorrect on some of these other sources of data, you have to go to the data owner to get that corrected and not us, unfortunately. So let's see. And then now we're going to go back to James, who will talk about using the ERI and this application.
All right, so, an ERI was usually a document published about every 10 years, developed by a consultant for a considerable amount of money. And it was approved by the Environmental Commission and sent to the Planning Board and basically just used as support for the master plan or other master planning documents in the town. And this ERI can serve that same purpose, but it's so easy to make that now you can make one as frequently as you choose. You can make one each year. You just need to set a time frame and you can just print one out and have an instant updated ERI for yourselves. There are other ways to use an ERI as well. You could develop a hard copy of an ERI, but have it able to be referencing the interactive ERI, so it's always updated with the most recently available information. You may also be able to adopt it as referenced. In other words, in the master plan, you may just reference the Highlands Council's interactive ERI. The beauty of this is that it's always up to date. You never have to worry about the ERI being out of date. All of the data sources are updated instantaneously. So anytime you look at it, you know that's going to be the most recent information. Now, how can you take the ERI that this publishes and create it into an adoptable ERI? Well, if you're in the Highlands, we can provide grant funding. So yourselves or the township's consultant or a consultant you hire can develop that ERI even more. You can take what information we have, you can refine it, you can customize it, you can add additional information that maybe we don't have. We don't have that kind of local history, that local knowledge that you may want to add about the town, and that could be developed. And then you can create a new ERI. And again, each time you want to update it, you know it's very easy to update and all the data will be updatable. So that's one use of the ERI. Jocelyn, could you jump to the next slide? So I've been using this for over a year now. And initially I thought, oh, the real purpose and real use is going to be as a replacement for an ERI. And that's still the core purpose of it. But after using it for a long period of time, I've come to realize that the real power of this tool is to put in people's hands all of the information you need to address developments that are occurring in the town, to address master plan changes that may be being thought about in the town, to comment on wetlands issues, to comment on wastewater management plan amendments. Because when you run a report through this ERI, it suddenly formats all of the environmental information you need to properly support public comments on any type of application that you maybe want to comment on. You can then cut and paste out of the ERI to create coherent public comments with all of the scientific data you need to comment on applications for development, wastewater management plan amendments, whatever it may be. And I think that secondary use, as well as using it as a planning and meeting tool, using it to review site plans, that secondary use is such a strong piece of information that's now available to you that you can use as a springboard to help the municipality, the environmental commission, a nonprofit, anybody to really effectively analyze impacts to the environment from development. And now what we'll do is we'll go through some demonstrations for you how this could be utilized. So Jocelyn?
Yes, before we get to the demos, I also wanted to mention that you could definitely use this application to help develop your sustainable Jersey water story. We'd love to see what other kinds of reports you can create with this application. So let's jump to the demos. And first off, there are two ways of accessing this application. One, you can enter through our Highlands Council GIS website. So on the on the Highlands Council website, there's an interactive maps and GIS data page, and the interactive ERI has its own section there. Or each Highlands municipality has a custom link to zoom right into your municipality. And that is included as a list on our GIS page on our Highlands Council website. So either work, it's like having two doors to the same house. There's just different ways to get in. So our first demo will be just a overall navigation, how to get around. And then James is going to go through a site-specific demo, and I will come back for demo 3 to show you exactly how to create your entire municipal ERI. So let's jump into those demos. While we're doing the demos, I just wanted to let you know I'm going to put my internet browser in full screen mode to help with visibility, but that's obviously not how you're going to see it on your screen. Let's see, we're going to switch to this screen over here. Yes. There we go. Okay. So when you open up the application, you will be greeted by this lovely disclaimer full of lovely legalese. We're going to just say I agree. Read it though, please. Read it, memorize it. There'll be a quiz on it. Anyway, then we get to the main Highlands Region Interactive Environmental Resource Inventory landing page. And on the left side, there is a welcome, and underneath the welcome, you'll see the blue links. And those are links to help documents. And also, I would like to point out that those help documents can be reached at any point in the site from the upper right-hand corner where this blue question mark icon is. So in addition to this screen, we also have our Highlands Council logo in the upper left-hand corner. That will take you back to our main Highlands Council webpage in case you need that. That will open up in a new window so you won't lose whatever you're working on in the ERI application. On the actual map, we have our zoom controls in the upper left corner of the interactive map. Those work like normal zoom controls, nothing special there. And in the upper right corner of the map, we have this icon that is 4 boxes. And when I hover over it, it tells me that they are base maps. And when I click on them, it gives you a whole list of choices of what you want your base map to be. Different aerial imageries from different years, the Highlands base map that you might be accustomed to from our interactive map application. I'm going to throw that one up here real fast because it will help me demonstrate the next point. So we are now going to say, let's get started. We're going to close those base maps up again. And we get to the select a boundary page. And this is really cool. This is where you get to say, hey, I'm over here, I'm over there. So for this demo, I'm going to select a county. And we can do it from the drop-down list. We select county, but you can see that you also have choices for municipality, watershed. This is the HUC 14 level. Also parcel and multi-parcel. And if you are us, we're usually interested in things at the whole region level. You probably aren't, and that's okay. But I'm going to go with county. And we get this little yellow box saying only the area within the Highlands region will be shown. This results in partial county boundaries. And this is why I wanted to put this particular base map up, because I'm going to choose Hunterdon County, and the portion of Hunterdon County that the application is going to show is only this area marked by the dark black line, which is only the northern part of Hunterdon County. That's the only part of the county that's in the Highlands region. So as Mara said earlier, unfortunately, if you are not in the Highlands region, this application will not work for you because we only have data to the edge of our region. So from here, we're going to do confirm selected area. And the first thing I want to point out is the bottom right corner of the interactive map. It says Hunterdon County in this little box, and that will always tell you what you selected in the select a boundary screen. That will tell you the sub-watershed name, the municipality name, the parcels, just to remind you what it was. And if you say, oops, I didn't want Hunterdon County, I wanted Warren County, you can always use the start over button, which is up next to the help button in the top right portion of the screen. But we like Hunterdon County, so we'll go with that. So right under your zoom buttons, there's this other button that says zoom to selected area. So if you have zoomed into somewhere or zoomed out and you want to get back to your original selection, you can hit this button and it will bring you back to this screen. All the way zoomed out of whatever boundary you selected. Let's see. Okay, so the next big thing that I see when I look at this is the layers sidebar on the left. And these are all different categories. I would encourage you just to start opening them and seeing what layers we have. There are about 100 different layers here, so I can't possibly go through all of them. However, you definitely should see what there is to see because there's a lot of resources here. Want to point out this one right here under history and culture. We have a couple layers that are grayed out. That means that you are too zoomed out in order to see the data. But if you zoom in, these layers will become black, meaning you can turn them on and see the data again. So we're going to zoom back out to the county. I apologize for my internet today. It's not loading quite as fast as I would like, but that is going to work for us. We're going to go and look at my favorite layer, which happens to be the open space layer. It's the preserved lands layer. And I'm going to turn that on, and we will see that it populates the map. Again, some of these layers are large and complex, and it might take a little moment for them to load. Just be patient. We've made the application work as quickly as it can, but we are always looking for ways to improve. So if you do have a suggestion, feel free to let us know. And so when it all loads, you have this layer details sidebar that pops up on the right side of your screen with a whole bunch of numbers and information. And all of these numbers are for Hunterdon County. So it's not preserved lands across the region or the state, it's just Hunterdon County. So Hunterdon County has nearly 13,000 acres of farmland. If you zoom in, these numbers will not change. They will always be for the boundary that you selected. And we can also see that it is displayed in a wide variety of colors, and you can see what those colors mean from this legend tab at the top of the left sidebar. And you can see, oh, they're symbolized to differentiate between federally owned lands, state-owned lands, county-owned lands, etc. So you might be saying, well, you told me that these were numbers for only Hunterdon County, but I see some preserved lands up in the northern part of the county that are on the outside of the Hunterdon County border. And this is because we thought it would be useful to see what preserved lands are adjacent to your subject area, but these lands are not incorporated into the calculations. Again, those calculations are only for the area that you have selected. So also, I should mention that you can collapse the layer details on the right side so that you get more map space. Yes, and they will disappear. We're going to turn this off. I'm going to open this back up to show you that when you turn the layer off, your details go away. And then I would like to show you this critical infrastructure. We're going to look at fire stations. So fire stations are not typically in an ERI, but they are very important to your towns. But we have not written up details blurb about them since they are not commonly found in an ERI, but we do link to the layer's metadata, which is here. And if you are not familiar with metadata, and here we go, it gives you some very useful information like the publication date and an abstract or purpose of the data so that you can delve into, what is this actually showing me? The other interesting thing is that it tells me, if I scroll down, that this is USGS data. So if there's something wrong, if you're missing a fire station, you have to go to USGS to tell them it's not something that we can fix. We can't add the fire station down the road that's not showing up. So that's that. And let's see, next, the other two buttons that we're going to have at the top of the left sidebar are reports and maps. And we are going to go into those two tabs more in the next two demos. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to James for the next demo. And James, I believe you are going to share your screen for that demo.
Yes, oh, there's way too many things open. All right, here we go. So I'm going to show you the site-specific review. So basically, you start out in the same way. I've gone past the, agree. So we hit get started, and now we're back to the select a boundary. So I choose one, I move down to parcel in this case, which is a single or multiple parcels you can select. Now there's two ways you can select here. You can choose by block and lot. So you would basically select a municipality and then you would enter in the block and lot and search by block and lot, and it'll zoom right into that specific block and lot. If you don't have the block and lot, you can put in a street address, which is what I'm going to do in this case. And you basically just, spell it right, first of all. So, and then it'll populate if it finds it. So then you click on it and it's going to zoom right to the property. So this is the property. Now to select the actual parcel you want, you have to use these tools. Now these tools let you select by various ways. Select by click, select by rectangle, select by a polygon, and you use these other tools in here to select multiple parcels, which I'll show you later on. But for right now, we're just going to select by click, and this is the lot right here, block 8, lot 20 we want. I'm going to click, and then it's going to select that parcel. So now I want to confirm the selected area. And now I'm back to the same view Jocelyn had, except I'm at a parcel specific level. So I can select layers, I can show my legend, I can turn on base maps, and I can run reports. So what I want to do in this case is I want to run a report. I want to show some of the water resources on the property, and I want to show some of the conservation resources on the property. So to run an actual report, what I would do is I would go to reports. I would select those two sections that I want in report, and I would click export report. And I will show you the actual report. I just need to switch what I'm sharing. And this is the actual report the ERI is going to generate specifically for that block and lot. So you can see right here, there's some instructions on how the ERI works. And it's basically an ERI for this specific property. And as you scroll down, it's going to have a table of contents that you can go in and edit as necessary, same as list of figures. And then as we get to the actual content of the report, let me blow it up for everybody. You can see that it fills out a complete environmental resource inventory for this property. It has the acreage, the percent of the property that's in forest. It has details on some of the forest data, on breakdown of the type of forest on the property. Talks about the riparian areas on the property, the riparian score, some of the watershed values. And you can do this for any of the resources that are in the ERI. I just limited it to these two because I thought they were most interesting. You can see it breaks down the critical wildlife habitat found on these properties, lists all of the species that are found on the property, tells you if there's vernal pools, tells you if there's significant natural areas, tells you about wildlife corridors. It has all of the text that goes with it and a description of what it is and the sources. And then in this case, I also included the hydrology section. So it tells us about C1 streams, the length of them that are in the property, the names of them. It tells you about groundwater recharge areas, the size, and again, a description of exactly what it is. Highlands open water protection areas, those are the buffers around streams and wetlands. Again, it tells you the amount and the percent and a description. Now, one of the things you can, which is all great and good, but one of the things you can do with this, and I think one of the important tools you can do with this is you can take this, you can simply cut and paste these sections. Say you wanted to prepare a report from the Environmental Commission to the Planning Board on a piece of property that was going to be developed. You say you were going to have, a development of 50 single-family homes proposed for that property. and you wanted to provide a detailed report. Well, in this case, you can just simply run an ERI for this specific property or multiple properties and cut and paste this section into a memo that you will then provide to the planning board along with your reasoning as to why the project should be approved, disapproved, or changed. And here you have all of support you need to back up your findings. You can also do this with comments to the DEP if there's an application pending. Again, all of this is referenced, completely up to date, and has a complete background on all the information that you would want to supply in some form of comment to an outside agency or to agencies within the municipality. Also, if you are preparing, say, a master plan amendment, the planning board's working on a master plan amendment. Well, for each master plan amendment, you can provide an complete ERI report or cut and paste the data out of this ERI to provide in a memo or report to the planning board. And I think this is really helpful because you know the data's up to date. You don't have to go searching around for it. All of the descriptive language and background source is all included here. And it's just a matter of cutting and pasting it into a report. And you can also include maps. So you want to include maps with your report. Well, the ERI, interactive ERI, can also provide the maps that go with it. And I'll jump back and show you how to do those maps real quick. Sorry to be jumping back and forth with the share, but where is it? So back in the ERI, if I wanted to see a map, basically you just select a predefined field of maps. Say I wanted to see critical habitat. So you click on critical habitat. It's going to generate a map showing the critical habitat on that property. And you would simply click export map. And it's going to create a map just like we saw showing the critical habitat that then you can either attach to your report that you've generated before, or you can import into the ERI as a PDF, JPEG, however you want to do it. And it's really that easy. And I think, again, one of the powerful tools is to be able to generate up-to-date, coherent reports that are customized for a property or project you want to look at with sources that you know are completely current, and it's basically already written for you. You just basically have to cut and paste into a format that is appropriate for the purpose. And just before I finish, I said I was going to show you how to select multiple parcels, so I'm going to hit start over. I'll go to parcel. I'll go to, actually, I'll search by the block lot this time. So I want to go to Bedminster. Oh, I'll jump to it. Sorry. I'll search by address again since I don't actually know the block lot. So in case of selecting multiple parcels, say if I knew the project encompassed a number of parcels here, I can simply select this tool and then in any one it touches, it's going to pull into the ERIs, and I can now my report and area and all the calculations are going to be specific for that selected area. So I think you can start to see how by manipulating these reports, you can really start to leverage all of that data and information there in quite an easy way to get what you need as an environmental commission member, as a planning board member, as professional staff to a municipality. And I think I will leave it right there. And I'll be happy to answer any questions when we get to the end. Thank you. Oh, and Jocelyn wanted me to mention that we do have another map product on our website as well. It's an interactive map. And that map is good to look at individual parcels as well. However, it doesn't have the same depth of reporting function as this ERI does. and we'd be happy to provide additional training on that, or there's training available on our website, I believe, too. Thank
Right. We did have a question in the chat about the preserved land and if we could get a table of each property and the amount of acres, and that interactive map on our website is currently how you would do that. However, I love the idea of being able to export a table with that information from the ERI application, and I will definitely be putting it on our list of future enhancements. So at this point, we are going to get back into our third demo. And this demo does repeat a lot of what James just showed you on the parcel scale, but this time we're going to do it for the municipal scale to really get into the whole creation of a municipal ERI. And everything that I'm going to show you can be changed or tweaked and edited once it's exported from the application to your heart's delight. This demo will demonstrate how to export a template that will help you create your own ERI, and the exported materials are based off of what is typically found in an ERI, but it's not meant to indicate what should be in your ERI. For example, we don't have a history section for the 88 municipalities that encompass the Highlands region. However, that is a very common thing to include in an ERI. So you would want to make sure that you insert your own town's history section to the front of that ERI or wherever you want it to be. Or maybe there's another resource that you want to highlight because it's of particular importance to your town. Maybe you want a critical infrastructure and throw in that fire station layer that we talked about earlier. This is really meant to be a launching point for the creation of your own individual unique ERI. So we're going to enter the application again. So we've gone through the disclaimer screen and the welcome screen. We're at the select a boundary screen. This time we are going to go to a municipality. And like the other select a boundaries options, you can either click directly on the map or select the municipality from the drop-down menu. I know we have some Union Township folks on our call today. I'm going to select Union Township. It's a beautiful municipality. And since it's at the bottom of the drop-down list, I just clicked on the map and it zoomed me right to there. And we're going to confirm selected area. And again, Union Township pops up in the box at the bottom right corner of the screen. And we're going to skip this interactive map portion because we want just the report. And here on the reports tab, you could select just the sections you want. But since we are exporting and doing an entire ERI, we're going to click the select all button. We want everything that the application has, and we're going to do export report. Now, remember, I told you that there were nearly 100 different layers in this application. So this takes some time. If you have to wait a couple of minutes, it's okay. So I exported this earlier. Pre-exported it, if you will. And the first page of the exported document is how to use this document. So it gives you the date that it was exported, what's included, how to get back to the highlandseri.com application in case you wanted to give this to somebody who does not know about the application. It tells you how to add the maps because this is a Word document and does not export the maps automatically. You do have to go in and add them, and I will show you exactly how to do that. It also gives you a little reason why the interactive map is so awesome to use. And it gives you this little disclaimer, please note box at the bottom. We are asking that this box be included on your final ERI document just to point out where this data came from, when it was downloaded, and how they can get back to it in case they would like to see updated data. The next page, we have a draft title page. The draft is in red to remind you to go update this, throw in a picture, your town's logo, whatever you want to make it your own. We're going to scroll down and we get to a sample table of contents. Please make sure you update this, especially if you move sections around or if you add that history section in, and you also want it to populate with page numbers. Also, on the next page, we have a list of all possible figures that can be directly exported from the application, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. These are all of our, I call them pre-canned maps, but these are the ones that we've set up that display related data layers together so that you can just pick it and export it the way you want it. You do not need to include every map. You do not need to have our map. These are just a list of ideas. You could, if you throw in some tables, you might want a list of tables also. We do not have that in here. We do give you a sample purpose and scope section. Again, update it to how you want it to look and sound. And then we get into the meat and potatoes of the document. And the first one we have is the agriculture section. And we know that agricultural uses are pretty important in Union Township. They make up nearly 40% of the township. So we say, you know what? I want to show a map of that because 40% is pretty big. So we're going to go back to the application. And we're going to go to the Maps tab. And instead of exporting a custom map, we are going to export using predefined layer groups, the drop-down menu. And the first map on there is agricultural uses. You do have to wait for the map to populate. Otherwise, when you export, you will get a lovely outline and no data. So we want to let it export or populate rather. And then we can come to these map export options, and we have letter and tabloid options, portrait and landscape. So pick what you want. I think Union Township looks good on landscape paper. And then we have several file formats. I recently learned that PNG files are good for inserting into reports. So I'm going to pick that. Export map. I've actually already exported that earlier, and this is my map. You want to make sure you save this, and you want to make sure you remember where you save it. That one's kind of crucial. And then we're going to go back to our Word document, which is here, and click here. And I know there are a couple of ways of getting pictures and figures into Word. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the easiest way I think is to use this insert button up here. And of course, it's not responding. Okay, here we go. And we're going to go to pictures, insert picture from this device. This is why you need to remember where you saved it, because it's going to pop up with a dialog box that asks you what picture do you want it from. I have this saved on my desktop at the moment. Oh, it's not picking up the file format. Still not picking up. Oh, you know what? We didn't save it. I thought I saved it, but I did not. So here. We're going to go back here. We're going to make sure that it's saved. And my computer is not responding very quickly. Okay, so is it going to work? It's not responding today. I apologize. That's not my intent. Going back to Word and the insert picture, you would pick whatever picture you had that you wanted to use. You would hit insert. I'm going to hit cancel since I don't have a picture, and it will pop up onto your document. I promise it will. So maybe you want, we'll go through it. Oh, boundaries. These are the sub watersheds of the Huck 14. Most people may or may not understand what that is, you can go back to the application. The application is here. Okay. And say, okay, you know what? This is great, but I just want a map with the boundaries on it. And we're going to unclick this agricultural uses. And, really, I really just want the subwatersheds. So we're going to turn that on. It's going to populate. And then back on our maps tab, you can, this time we'll say you want to export your custom map. And that will give you exactly what is showing up on the screen. You're going to export that map. I did that earlier. It's here. Will this let me save it? No, it's decided it's not going to work with me today. I wanted to show you how you could insert it and then crop it down so that you're getting just the middle of the map with just this area, because you don't need to show all of this legend and scale bar stuff if you don't want to. But apparently my computer is not going to cooperate with me today, and I really apologize for that. And with that, I think that's the end of my demos. We'll go back to our PowerPoint. And with that, okay, it's just being slow. Now we're ready for questions. So thank you very much for listening to us. And if you have any questions, either throw them in the chat or raise your hand and we can unmute you and you can ask us directly, and any of us here will be able to answer whatever question. Thank you very much.
Yes, hi, and thank you
Sorry.
so much, Jocelyn and James. That's what a powerful tool. It's a lot of fun to play with. You can really, I mean, and we all, such limited capacity in the, our volunteer-led environmental commissions and green teams, and this just, it's just a great way to be able to put these reports and content and information together. It makes it so easy. So I applaud all the Highlands Council's effort to make this tool available. Thank you. Did we have any questions from participants in the chat or Q&A? I don't think I saw any in there. Oh, there we go.
It does not look like we do.
And thank you for bringing up, that you can use this tool for so many other things aside from, in addition to the ERI. Those looking at site plans and doing site plan reviews and looking at development proposals and, the sustainable Jersey water story and all these layers and all of that content that's generated through this. I mean, it's just awesome that it gives you all of that written content and language to be able to share along with these maps.
Yeah. One of the use cases I had was I had somebody calling. They were, they received a public notice about the DEP reviewing a wetlands letter of interpretation adjacent to their property, and they didn't, they disputed the boundary that the consultant was proposing. So they wanted to write a letter to object to what the consultant was proposing. So they used the language and the maps from the ERI to develop an objection letter to that public comment request. So
that's great.
It can be very useful and powerful in those cases, because as an ordinary person, even myself, how do you quickly grab all of that information you need in one place to really put together a strong argument against a project or anything like that? And in this case, it's all there. It's right at your fingertips. It's just a matter of cutting and pasting it into a letter or a memorandum or anything like that. And all of the maps can be attached, and it really provides a powerful tool to comment on any kind of land development application.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a question, I think, for Jocelyn, or a member of our technical team. In the chat, Ian Brasto is asking, when selecting multiple parcels by polygon, can you upload a shape file or polygon file? If so, is there a batch capacity?
Hi, Ian. Right now, that That is an excellent question. And no, you cannot upload a shape file or polygon file or any other kind of file to do your selection for you. I have talked to the developer about this particular question and feature, and we don't feel like we can include this at this time due to how we have the application hosted. So unfortunately, that is a limitation that we will have to play with. But if we have the opportunity to add that feature in the future, we definitely will do that.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for that question, Ian. If anybody else has questions or comments, you know, good
And just to
plan.
note too, that we're happy to send out, we will be sending out a follow-up email, and we'll provide links to the maps and any additional information that the council thinks would be helpful to users as they're
Yeah,
learning to navigate
and
this.
Jocelyn did throw the main link into the chat. It's highlandseri.com is the quickest way to get to it. We explain that you can get to it through our website, but highlandseri.com is the best way to just get right to it. Another question in the chat from Robert Lewis. Are these layers available as SHP files for download?
So yes, shape files. SHP is the shorthand for shape file.
I'm not technical.
And any of the Highlands Council data layers are available as downloads through our Highlands Council GIS webpage. The layers that we do not provide are available from their owners in a variety of spots. If you are looking for a particular layer, feel free to reach out to the Highlands GIS team and we will help point you in the right place. For any state data, Engine is a great resource. This is NJGIN, New Jersey Geographic Information Network. And that has links to a lot of the state data. But again, feel free to reach out to the Highlands GIS department with any questions specifically about where to download some of the data that's not hosted by us.
Jocelyn, won't the metadata also have some of that information?
Yes, thank you, James. If we have linked to the metadata, it will tell you who the owner is. And that would be a great place to start looking for that information.
And the metadata will show up in the right-hand nav, right? When you've selected it in the interactive ERI?
Yes, it will show up in the layer details sidebar on the right if we do not have a full written description of the layer.
And I threw the link to the Highlands GIS page in the chat. If you scroll down that page at the very bottom, GIS data has, I think that's where the data downloads are, right, guys?
Yes, that is a link to it.
Yeah. And that's also, you'll see the Highlands Interactive ERI is there. And you'll also see there's a video tutorial there, which is very similar to what you've seen here today, but today was even better. And Mara will, as she said, share the recording that they did of today's, that we've done today.
That's right.
Thank you.
And just to finish up, the ERI is a product of the Highlands Council, and we are responsible for it. So it's owned by a state entity. So you can copy and paste all of the text all you want. There's no restrictions on its use. You can
Guilt-free.
reproduce it, edit it, copy it, use it however you want.
Yeah, and we're also always taking feedback. I mean, I think Jocelyn mentioned in the Q&A, somebody had asked a question about, and she mentioned it in her live voiceover, but we're always looking for feedback on the app. As a communications manager, I'm always looking for feedback on the narrative bits. If you would like more or less or something changed there, that's been my involvement in this. I recognize that a lot of people involved in developing ERIs are not tech savvy like me. And so some of the language sometimes might get too technical. I know it needs to be for the ERI, but then the intro stuff, not necessarily anyway. Any and all feedback is always welcome. So thanks for that.
There was one additional thing I wanted to point out, especially for our towns that might be participating that are not inside the region. You can so while the application only works for the 88 municipalities inside the region, and 88 municipalities at any scale, parcel, watershed, whatever. You can definitely go in, pick a township that looks kind of like yours, export the ERI and use that as a launch pad with your own data. We don't have the data to give you, but you can use it as a template. Also, you do not need to be physically located in the Highlands region for the website to work. You can sit in Cape May and make your ERI. You can sit in France and make your ERI. It does not matter. You just need to be doing it for one of the Highlands towns.
And I'd love to put a request in. If anyone who's joined us today uses this and develops an ERI or another, a site plan review or anything, we would love to see it. If you would share it with us, we would really love to see it.
Yeah, and I would love to see it too, because we're always looking for success stories to share with our other municipalities. Like if you've had a good time with this, share, because it's one thing for us to tell you it's great. It's better if it comes from another municipal person who's actually used it. Okay, I don't see much more coming in the chat or the Q&A. Both look quiet.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you once again to everyone who's joined us today, and we hope you found this useful. Please do reach out to the Highlands Council staff, or you can reach out to me or anyone at RHA if you'd like some help with this. And again, if you have something to share, we'd love to see it. And this will be recorded. It will be up on our website for review. And we really hope to see you at the next Watershed Tools for Local Leaders webinar. And I want to thank you once again to Jocelyn and James and Carol from Highlands Council for joining us today and showing us this wonderful tool. And I hope we all now go in and explore and create something with it. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have fun, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.